you can make clay at home with 3 ingredients that you already have in your kitchen. You will need baking soda, cold water, and cornstarch to create this modeling clay recipe. In a large pot, mix all of your ingredients together and stir with a wooden spoon. You're gonna see some bubbles, and you wanna kind of keep moving your ingredients, and you're gonna keep it on a medium-low heat. If it's not heating up, you can always turn it up closer to medium. Keep stirring. Keep stirring as it thickens. Eventually, in about 5 minutes or less, it's going to resemble the texture of mashed potatoes. Keep stirring until the ingredients form a ball or mass together. Once you're happy with your texture, transfer it to a plate or to a cutting board. With a damp cloth, you're going to cover all of your new clay until it cools. I let mine sit for about 20 minutes. Once it feels cool to the touch, you are going to knead it until it's smooth. I'm doing this on just a regular cutting board, and make sure your surface is clean. I have a black dog and a black cat, and the evidence of me owning them is all in this clay, so make sure you're using clean surfaces. And you're gonna knead and wedge your new clay until it's all together with a smooth texture without any lumps or bumps. You're going to notice right away that this does not have the same consistency as Play-Doh or regular kiln-fired clay. It's going to be a little bit crumbly, but it has a really nice smooth consistency, and I love the pure white. I think that's going to make it really easy to paint this once I'm finished with whatever projects I decide to make. All right, now that it's smooth, it's time for the coil test. I know that this clay will be easy to use if I can roll a coil without it falling apart or crumbling. Awesome. Definitely a little still moist. It isn't all the way cool, but check it out. It's really soft, but it definitely makes a coil. All right, time for the pinch pot test. Let's see if this clay can hold its form while I'm making a pinch pot. So far, so good. And as I'm pinching and turning, the top kind of cracks, but I'm not too stressed about that because it definitely does that with kiln-fired clay as well. And I know as it dries, that's something I can work on. Your clay is ready to use right now, or you can put it in one big shape and store it in an airtight container until you're ready. There are so many things you can make with this homemade modeling clay, but the easiest thing to start with is rolling out a slab. And if you don't have a rolling pin, just do it by hand. It's best to work on some sort of surface that has a canvas on it or cardboard, because just like any other clay, there's tons of moisture and it's gonna wanna stick to your surface. All of my canvas is at school, so I'm just using a piece of cardboard I have laying around. When you smash it down to whatever surface you're working on, just like any other time you're making a slab, you want to pick it up and rotate it so that the slab moves out evenly and also so it doesn't stick. You could cut any shape you want, but using a cookie cutter is a great way to make repeated shapes using your homemade clay. Somehow the only cookie cutter I have at the house is a cow. I really don't understand how I even own that. But I have a really fun image of painting this black and white with pink on it when it's dry. You want to poke a hole in your shape so that you can hang it up as an ornament or some sort of decoration. Another trick you can do is hand cutting it. So you're going to make another slab and you can cut any shape that you want. Growing up, my mom would make homemade Christmas ornaments, and I loved painting them. Christmas trees, stars. I can even imagine cutting egg shapes and then painting them like Easter eggs. But what I'm gonna do is cut the shape of a leaf, and I'm gonna let it dry so it has a curve to it and use it as a jewelry holder. I'm just freehanding my shape here. It's a very simple, basic shape, and I'm using a butter knife because although I have hundreds of clay tools, they're all at school. And I'm using the knife to kind of carve in a leaf shape texture. I have noticed this clay is not really great for fine and delicate carving. So as it dries, I'm thinking it might be a little bit easier. I'm placing my leaf on top of a plastic bag because that's all I have, and I know the clay is not going to stick to the plastic. And then I'm putting it on a plate so it will dry with a curve and not just be flat. I've tried out this recipe 3 times now, and I have made some really fun stuff. Stay tuned for my upcoming tutorials on how to make dessert out of clay, the cutest little clay cactus plant you've ever seen, and I'm going to challenge myself to make a clay figure sculpture using this 3-ingredient homemade modeling clay. I'm also excited, once this clay is dry, to experiment with watercolor, acrylic paint, also colored pencils, and I've even read that you can use nail polish on this clay. Don't forget to subscribe so that you are first to know when I drop these new tutorials. Also check out my website, thatartteacher.com, for full lesson plans, student examples, and everything that's been in my brain for the past 11 years of teaching.